Yeah, so we're screwed. Hunter x Hunter chapter 411 announcement. Kurapika, please stop making announcements. This isn't a plot summary or a deep dive like my usual videos. I just want to share some of my reactions to the chapter real quick. Has it hit everyone yet that Kurapika just revealed the existence of Nen restrictions and limitations to Saraidnik? To this guy who's ostensibly the most evil creature in the entire series, who owns the final Scarlet Eyes and is featured holding Pero's mummified head with its eyes gouged out on the color page of this chapter, who murders women for fun and skins them to add to his human body part collection, whose Nen spirit beast, which are essentially JoJo stands that reflect the prince's inner values and nature, looks like this, to this hyper-intelligent genius who's somehow developed a King Crimson adjacent ability without any proper training from just hearing Kurapika announce Nen was a thing at the beginning of the voyage. From just hearing Nen exists, Saraidnik figured out how to pervert the laws of time itself. What do you think learning Nen restrictions are a thing is going to do to his abilities and threat level? Again, Saraidnik can alter time and space already with 0 limitations and only a couple days of training. I've talked about this before, but to reiterate, there are 3 Antichrist figures on this ship, all major antagonist figures in the arc, and dangerous persons that we need to keep in mind. So first, we got 4th Prince Saraidnik, T-Dog, Terror Sandwich. You can pronounce it however you like. There's no canonical confirmed pronunciation. I just like to pronounce it Saraidnik because it has both the soft sound at the beginning and the harsh K sound at the end, which emphasizes his duality, and also the eyed sound in the middle, which is not only E-Y-E, but also the capital I sound for his egotism. That's just my preferred pronunciation. Anyways, he's got the full, beautiful gold locks and the faux angelic Jesus aura. This uber intelligent, uber malevolent, uber cruel, and uber charismatic prince whose goal is to win the succession war, probably by killing all the other princes and anyone else who stands in his way. Just look at his Nen beast. I couldn't come up with something like this if you put a gun to my head and said, draw monster to symbolize the worst person in existence. Like, what do you mean there's potentially a copy of Pero's head in its throat? Good lord, he's a monster. Yet Kurapika over here is still under the assumption that they can, I don't know, talk it out. Obviously, Kurapika doesn't know what we know, but it's just so rough. In the Dark Continent prep arc, Kurapika tells Mizystom he's never had to kill an eye owner to get the eyes back yet. And look at what he's thinking even now. He's musing in chapter 411 about goading Saraidnik into suing him so he can get a chance to talk to him. Kurapika, this guy is the entity that the devil has nightmares about. There ain't no negotiating our way out of this one. Kurapika is woefully unprepared to face Saraidnik if he still thinks they can just casually chat over tea and the guy's gonna be reasonable and give him back the eyeballs. Second Antichrist figure rocking the crown of thorns, we got Morena. I used to think maybe killing Morena would dispel the effects of her ability and essentially cause all the members of the faction, the Mafia faction, to lose all their points and potentially their Nen ability forever or for at least a long time, because I just thought her power's way too broken. But after thinking about it more, my current theory is the complete opposite of colony collapse. I think taking out the queen in this situation will not stop the contagion. Instead of Morena being a keystone due to her views on family, because she never really had one, I think it makes more sense for uncontrollability to actually be the major drawback of her ability. Just like a virus outbreak cannot be quelled by merely sniping patient zero, Morena and her family, quotation marks, do not value each other the way ants would value their queen, a faction essentially with completely the opposite working to the chimera ants. Is pretty cool. That's a lot of fun. Which is all to say, here's an antagonist whose actions have been set into motion and possibly cannot be stopped, even if she herself is stopped, and that's already causing utter chaos and mass murder on the lower tiers. Once you start the dominoes rolling, you can't really stop it. Even if they can somehow convince Morena to be reasonable, maybe it's already kind of too late. Lastly, Crollo, our original Mr. Lucifer, sitting at the head of a group of 12 disciples. Unk is not looking so hot right now. After losing Shal and Kortapi, Crollo is on the hunt for a way to upgrade his book and obtain a certainly dangerous new ability to deal with Hisoka. He's definitely on his way to the Succession War arena as well eventually, because Hisoka is chilling up there. And if you think Kurapika would maintain his cool upon seeing Crollo again, especially now that Crollo can use Nen again, I think you're overestimating Kurapika's current mental stability a little bit. It is amusing that Crollo is currently targeting the Kakin Empire's royal treasures though, and the troops stealing those treasures might hinder the succession ceremony depending on if those treasures are needed to complete the succession rite. These spiders who murdered Kurapika's family being some of the only ones making moves in his favor is kind of hilarious. So yeah, 3 Antichrist figures, all super dangerous, super powerful, either apathetic or completely antagonistic to Woble's survival. And that's not even accounting for the other antagonists currently in play. So beyond Netero, who's basically, I don't know, like a Genghis Khan, all his people are either super intelligent and charismatic like Periston and Jing. They could be infiltrated in the Hunter Association. They could be anywhere on the ship. King Naspi, the other princes and their Nen beasts and their men, and all the men under those men, the members of the other mafia factions, the members of the public on the lower tiers, the other spiders, Hisoka, even the others who are currently working with Kurapika right now, like Bill or the Zodiacs, could become antagonistic figures very shortly when their interests no longer align. Even his allies might put him in a bind accidentally in the future, like Melody, who's inadvertently caught Cyrenics' eye. What happens if Kurapika is put in a situation later where he has to choose between Melody and Wobble? The deck was already stacked against Kurapika before the voyage began, and it's just becoming more and more precarious for him, especially because he doesn't want to abandon his initial mission of retrieving the eyes. Which is why his speech in this chapter stresses me out so much. In a room full of agents of the other princes and factions, you know, we got yet another person this chapter who's here to kill Wobble. So these are not people that he should be telling information to if he can help it. In a room full of them, just like that, he reveals the existence of Nen restrictions, the idea that you can put restrictions and limitations on your abilities in order to make them stronger. He uses it to explain something about the Succession War, which may or may not be correct, but, you know, the end result is that he did reveal that this exists for Nen, which is not something that a lot of the other princes or people on the ship knew before. So he tells them that information without even trading it for an advantage for Wobble. Cyrenics' men are in the room. Obviously, it's going to get back to him. Not only him, but we can assume all the other princes and their mothers will shortly know as well. Theta's been trying so hard to slow Cyrenics' development, and now this could put her in danger as well. She's already at 2 lies, 3 strikes and you're out. With Saraidnik's Nen Beast, she can't afford to lie to him again and deny that Nen restrictions are a thing. Even if she doesn't lie, he'll probably still be angry at her that she knew about them and didn't tell him about them herself. Furthermore, the stuff Kurapika says about the Succession War ceremony components and how only one prince can win or the kingdom will fall to ruin, I don't know how much of that is true. I'd wager like a portion of it at least is probably false. Maybe somewhere between like 60 to 20% of it is probably false, and I have yet to see how this is going to benefit him. I'm sure it will in some way. He's got some strategy, but the trade-off is absolutely not worth it. It's similar to Crollo revealing to Hisoka that Nen after death is a thing when he was talking about his book, which inadvertently led Hisoka to figure out how to survive and then hunt down and kill Crollo's friends. I don't know about that, but more importantly, pairing that information with the claim Wobble is not a legitimate heir. By the way, I'd consider that to be a full-on lie, like 100% a lie. It makes Kurapika sound untrustworthy at minimum and potentially desperate. Who does he think he's going to fool with this? Saying that, oh, don't worry, the prince that I'm charged with protecting is not, you know, a legitimate heir. So she's not a danger. Make sure to not kill her, you know, spare her life, pretty please. Does that sound like the truth at all to anyone? Even if he somehow manages to silver tongue his way into convincing everyone here in this current room that Wobble is not a valid Succession War participant, not a single older prince is going to spare her. The only logical thought process after hearing that Wobble is not an heir is, well, go ahead and kill her anyway, just to be safe. Obviously, Kurapika and Oito are trying to pull some kind of play here, but Jesus Christ, it's stressful because this is just going to draw more attention to Prince Wobble, who was otherwise just kind of forgotten in the back of the room while they were having their Nen lesson. I could easily see this leading to a scene where Sarahel asks for proof Wobble isn't a prince by offering to perform a blood test or something along those lines, which would give her the opportunity to get close to Wobble or something Wobble touched to curse her. We could say something like Wobble isn't actually Wobble because the prince swapped places with someone else on the boat, Prince and the Pauper style, but even if that's true, that's definitely not information Oito's team would want to disclose or even give the other prince's factions reasons to suspect. Frankly, I think Kurapika is bluffing here, and I doubt many wouldn't be able to see past his lies. So it just, I don't know what he's trying to do, but if this goes poorly, it could be really bad because it's not only his life on the line, right? I don't know if he realizes this, but Kurapika cannot afford to fail Wobble. Wobble needs Kurapika, yes, but if I'm being 100% with you, I think Kurapika needs Wobble more. And that is because Wobble is a symbolic character. This small and fragile thing, this innocent and good thing, untainted yet by blood. Children are often a symbol of the future. And in this case, Wobble is a symbol of Kurapika's future specifically. You could also say Wobble is a symbol of like the entire nation's future, but in their relationship, Wobble is a symbol of Kurapika's future. The flicker of hope that must survive his quest for the eyes and or revenge. What do you think is going to happen to Kurapika if he lets Wobble die? And then shortly afterwards comes across Pero's decapitated head. Nothing good, that's for sure. Kurapika is out of his depth. Crollo is honestly out of his depth as well. Hisoka even, again, if you remember his fight against Crollo before boarding the ship, Hisoka is missing body parts, including his entire foot, so that should be interesting to play out. I still look forward to seeing him fight with his new adaptations. The only person in his depth is Saraidnik, and that depth is hell. I'm saying he belongs in the blue part. I don't know what Kurapika is planning, but the fallout of this move is going to be catastrophic. It's like watching a horror movie where the audience knows what the characters will not know until it's too late. We're beyond cooked. We're deep fried. We're meat on the bone. So yeah, just another chapter of Hunter x Hunter, honestly.